house in the middle of our street. Our house in the middle of our...
Welcome to All Things Moore County, Moore County's weekly radio show, highlighting the many facets of the Sandhills. That includes real estate, lifestyles, community, and neighborhood. And now, from 4 Properties, here's your host, Bill Sahadi.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house.
Good morning. For those of you who are awake now that spring season is here, the Judson Theatre is announcing their 5th season of plays this year, and March 24th through the 27th on Golden Pond is going to be featured at the Owens Auditorium. And if you look at Facebook, if you're out on social media, you're going to see 2 of my guests this morning who I'm very privileged to be talking to. Iconic actor, TV entertainer, television personality, film star John Davidson. For those of you who grew up in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, it's not all about millennials. And here in Moore County, it's particularly not all about millennials. You'll know John from many television appearances, films, game shows in the 80s, John. And actually, you were initially, and I remember, as a singer.
I've had this very confusing career.
Very.
I sometimes wonder who I am. I started on Broadway when I first got out of college. I went to New York and started on Broadway. And then a television producer, Bob Banner, who had discovered Carol Burnett, said, I want to develop you as a variety show host.
Right.
So he helped me to be a variety show host, and I took over for Andy Williams in the summer of '66 with the Kraft Summer Music Hall.
Right.
And my regulars were George Carlin, Richie Pryor, and Flip Wilson.
Oh, wow.
Who all were just starting their careers, so I got a chance to rub shoulders with all that. And then he developed my Las Vegas act, so I began to play Vegas, and then Walt Disney Films, and then that led to hosting the Hollywood Squares and hosting That's Incredible and The Tonight Show and all that. But it was Bob Banner, this great man, who took me under his wing and said, you're not going to be a pitchfork. He said, Tony Bennett and Johnny Mathis, those are pitchfork careers. They do one thing, one prong, and they do it very well. You're going to be multi-pronged. It was a great concept, I thought, that I think he realized right away that I don't do anything really well, but I have a lot of prongs. And so I'm an actor, and that's why coming here with Golden Pond is a little bit of a surprise to me that our producer had the faith. He saw something in me because he saw me do the Fantastics in New York, and said, you're an actor as well as a game show host and all that.
Yeah, I'd like to disagree with what you just said. You are not.
I would too.
Yeah. Let me tell you why. You were not just a jack of all trades. You happen to be multi-talented in a host of different arenas, which was very rare. You look at a guy. Remember Robert Goulet? Mm-hmm. He was not a good actor. He was not a good actor, but he was a terrific singer. He was a frequent visitor to the Ed Sullivan Show, and everyone used him as the benchmark. Yeah. Once he stepped outside of that, it was like, what?
I guess. I don't know.
No. Yeah.
I'm always trying to be better in everything. I'm working on Golden Pond this week.
Yes.
With Suzanna Hay because I've done a lot of plays but mostly musicals, and so this gives me a chance to work on those chops, and on Golden Pond is such an exceptional play.
People who remember the play will also remember the movie with Henry Fonda and Katharine Hepburn. And recreating the role of Katharine Hepburn, I want to introduce Suzanna Hay. How are you?
I'm very well.
Suzanna is a very well-known Broadway actress. You've appeared in Whose Life Is It Anyway? I mean, a whole host of things. And you are from the New York area.
Well, I'm.
Thank God you're here for John's sake to prop him up, because he needs a lot of help.
He needs all the help he can.
He really does.
Working with professionals is part of the game. Yeah.
We're worried about his shyness, and that's what you're here for. How did you get here? How did you and Morgan hook up? Morgan Sills.
Oh, Morgan saw me and my dear friend Eve Plumb in a play called Unbroken Circle in New York.
Right.
And God bless him, he remembered me and he called and said, "Would you like to do this?" And
Right.
I said, "Sure." And so that's how I got here. Yeah.
You didn't say a chance to work with John Davidson.
I did.
You didn't say
I
that.
I didn't know about you at the time, John.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know about you at the time, but when I found out it was
Then
John,
you almost turned it down.
No,
okay.
I got very excited and very nervous because I had a huge crush on you during that Kraft Summer Music Hall.
That's
Why did
right.
it go away? Where is that crush now? What?
I still have it, John. Don't worry.
Don't hide your crush.
I won't.
I have to tell you something. The minute you posed for a picture a few minutes ago, there was obvious chemistry.
Oh, how nice.
And no, I mean, you either have it or you don't. It's not something you can manufacture. Because, people are transparent. It was perfectly natural.
Oh, that's
how many years between the two of you have you been in the business, so to speak?
I started my career in 1979.
1979.
Mm-hmm.
I started 50 years ago. So that's how many? You mean a combination of that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
87 years.
We've done a lot of things, but the beauty of especially theater is it doesn't matter what either of us have done. We're making this happen on these shows at Pine Hill Community College.
Sandhills.
Sandhill. Oh, there's so many pines around. Sandhill Community College.
Dirt, John.
It's
a
a wonderful theater there, and they've already become known for great shows.
As the two of you have evolved in your careers, isn't there something special about performing at this stage in your life that is different from when you were in the middle of the rat race, when there was always so much going on? Isn't there a greater appreciation for your art?
I don't think that's true for me.
Okay.
I always had. Well, I always felt that this was my calling.
Okay.
And so
You're lucky.
Any time that I've been privileged to work has been a great thing. Although that's not to say they were all gems. But I don't think it makes any difference.
Okay. You're an old soul, I can tell.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, you are. Absolutely, positively.
I think when you first start, though, things are more just black and white. It's simpler. And now things are so complex that nothing is for sure. And so I think that makes life so much more interesting after 40, 50, because nothing is set.
Would you consider running for president, by the way? We need a better discourse in our country right now. We need somebody that can talk and relate a whole lot better than the candidates from both parties. It just occurred to me. It's not too late.
Who would want that job? What a tough job.
I don't know. You might be able to talk your way through it.
No. I don't want to be in charge of anything.
You don't, huh?
I don't know. I tried to direct once, and Suzanna has never enjoyed directing as well. I don't want to be in charge. I just want to be. I just want to play it.
Tell me about playing Golden Pond. Tell me about the experience and what it means. Why it's a meaningful work of art for you.
You're talking to me?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm looking right at you.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to,
Oh, yeah. So engaging. God, she's so engaging.
Oh, bless you.
You
what
are.
a nice thing to say.
Yeah.
Well, Golden Pond is it's a play about life. It's
Right.
a play about issues that whether or not we want to, we all face, such as aging and preparing ourselves to die and what that means, and dysfunctional families, because everybody has a dysfunctional family. There's not a normal family out there, you know. What is that quote from Tolstoy? Happy families are all alike. Unhappy families. I can't remember it. If you can look up Tolstoy, you can add this in, because are all distinct. They're different.
Right.
But it's universal, because everybody does that, and love and a long-term relationship. I mean, Norman and Ethel have been married for 48 years.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means, I said to John last night, because yesterday was the first day we met, and
Is that right?
Yeah, and we had this rehearsal, and John and I were talking. He goes, "Oh, that's too much information." I said, "No, it's not."
Yeah.
I said, "We have to, develop a 48-year relationship in about a minute," and so that's.
You're well on your way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're well on your way. On Golden Pond is going to open Thursday, March the 24th at 7 p.m., and it's going to run through Sunday, March the 27th. Morgan Sills, who is the executive producer of the Judson Theatre Company, is here with us as well, enjoying the conversation. Morgan, you've done it again.
Well, thank you, Bill.
Yeah, you really
it's
have.
Good to be back.
It is good to have you back. What does On Golden Pond mean to you as a kickoff for your spring season?
It represents, I think, several dreams come true. To have these people here, this play that you tap into, whatever generation you're in,
right?
And also part of what I wanted what Daniel Haley and I wanted when we founded a theater company was to tell these heartwarming and hilarious stories here in the Sandhills where they hadn't had professional theater necessarily before,
right?
And to bring artists of this caliber who you see the arc of a career, you see these decades of talent and craft and diligence and all the things coming together to tell this beautiful story that really touches pretty much everybody who comes into contact with it, while you laugh. It's such a funny show because it's a true show.
Right.
That's the genius of it, is that there's a space in the show for every audience member as they watch it. They say, "Oh, that's like my life.
Mm-hmm.
I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I know who those people are."
Yeah. Suzanna and John, one thing you might not know is, even though we're in North Carolina, and John said, this isn't even the South, and he's right, Moore County is made up of a tremendous amount of people from New England, the metropolitan New York area, the Midwest. It is not just a southern enclave like it might have been 30 years ago. So you're going to be speaking to a lot of transplants from the Northeast and the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be very easily relatable to them right off the top. And there are so many different generations that live here that it will touch them because there are a lot of civic generation people. Their children come into town, their grandchildren. There are connections, and they change as people get older, and we all evolve. And I think that's why On Golden Pond will resonate very well.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on out.
But I am worried about John's shyness. I've picked that up, and I don't know how much time do we have till the show? A couple of days. John, you're going to have to come out of it.
2 days, right? Yeah. Week and 2 days.
Yeah. Interesting story about John Davidson. I remember seeing him on Hollywood Squares, and he was the court jester on the show.
When I was guesting on the show, you mean as opposed to hosting?
Yeah, when you were guesting.
Yeah, with Paul Lynn and
Peter Marshall.
Yeah.
So they would ask John a question, and you just knew. He would go off and pontificate about what the bluff he was talking about, but it would be so well embellished. And that's why you should run for president, because everything he said
I'm full of baloney, right?
sounded so straight and true and sincere. Right?
Well, as you know, Bill, on Hollywood Squares, they give you a joke answer. Everybody had a joke. But
right.
The hard thing is that you don't know what the setup is. And so I didn't do that very well. And so I said, don't even give me a joke. Just let me try to make up phony answers to things and try to be funny that way by knowing everything about absolutely nothing.
Right.
Professor Irwin Corey used to do that.
Right.
And so I was on one side of Paul Lynn. This is when I was guesting, and then later I became the host in the second version of the show.
Right.
But I was on one side, and Karen Valentine was on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Lynn, who was a caustic, very mean man, I'm sorry to say that. He was very funny, but he was very he didn't like himself and he didn't like other people, and he had this very funny way of I can't do a Paul Lynde, but he was a lesson in being. So many funny people are not happy people, and he was not a happy person. But he said some very funny things during that Hollywood Squares. I made one of the mistakes of my career, which is to do a centerfold. I had an agent come to me and my manager and say, you should, Burt Reynolds has done the centerfold for Cosmopolitan magazine, and they're looking for someone else to do it this year. And I said, I can't do a centerfold. We said, well, it's not naked. You're wearing a towel. Right. And this is true. So he talked me into doing a centerfold, wearing a towel, very appropriately, draped. It was a large towel, but they made me Mr. February, which is the shortest month. But I did it, and so I brought this centerfold into Paul Lynde on the Hollywood Squares, and I said, look, this wasn't my idea. My manager talked me into this. Paul Lynde took one look at the picture and he said, well, you should have been the ambassador to underdeveloped countries. And so I learned a lot by working on the Hollywood Squares, and that's just one of the mistakes of my career, unlike Golden Pond, which is I'm blessed to be able to be in.
Yeah. It will be a pleasure to see the two of you at Owens Auditorium. Morgan, do you want to give us just a little bit of information where people can get tickets?
Sure.
Logistics?
For more information about On Golden Pond or to purchase tickets, you can visit our website, judsontheatre.com, or you can call 800-514-ETICS. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. We have our regular prices, and then it's a little bit more at the door. And we also have a student and military price if you have ID.
Fantastic. I hope both of you, Suzanna and John, I hope you get a chance to experience Moore County the way all of us transplants have over the years.
We've already. We love...
It's beautiful here. It's really beautiful.
It really is.
We drove through not only Pinehurst, then we drove through
Southern Pines as well.
Southern Pines. Oh, man. And we went to a great place to have lunch.
We went over to Betsy's.
Oh, perfect.
That's their bribe for getting up in the morning to do their radio as I take them to Betsy's.
Is that right?
Yeah. It was just so fabulous. And we drove past a great guitar store that I want to go back to.
On Broad Street.
Baxter
store, yeah.
You need to meet Baxter. He is a performer. He is an actor. Okay. He started the store. He actually lives above the store in that building. It is a gorgeous piece of property.
Yeah. Oh, my husband would love that. He's a guitar player and singer as well, and he's got 25 guitars in our house.
If I'm not mistaken.
But the theater in Pinehurst, how come the theater has no theater in it? What is that?
You're asking a loaded question because
I hope so.
This area has the potential to be such a strong cultural center, and as the demographics are changing now, more and more young people. We have so many different generations living here in droves. This is ideal. We always
they don't live in houses.
Well, no. I mean,
they live in droves.
Sometimes they live in droves. That's our business. We sell
droves alongside the street.
It's a great place to live. It's beautiful. If Norman Rockwell were alive, we say that he would live in this community. You'd see him on the street. He captures Americana, and that's what so much of Moore County is all about. Enjoy your